Welcome back. All eyes once again on the U.S. Supreme Court this morning as some 40 million Americans wait to see if part or all of their student debt will be wiped out. With the justices expected to make a ruling on President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness plan, our national political correspondent Joe St. George live outside of the Supreme Court ahead of that decision. So, Joe, thanks for being with us. Remind us again what's at stake and walk us through what to expect today.
Yeah, Nick, obviously millions of Americans and plenty of people waking up in the Valley. They're going to have their phone handy when we're going to get opinions in just about 45 minutes or so now from the United States Supreme Court. One of those opinions expected to be, one of those topics expected to be student loan forgiveness. Remember, typically when you're covering the Supreme Court, you don't know what's going to be announced, but today's the last day of the term, so we know this decision is going to come out in 45 minutes from now. As a reminder for what's at stake, if you make under $125,000 a year, you would be eligible under President Biden's plan for $10,000 worth of forgiveness. If you're married, file your taxes jointly, $250,000 would be the threshold. If you had a Pell Grant while you were in college, $20,000 worth of forgiveness would be possible. The biggest question is, what do Americans' balances look like in an hour from now? Is it the same as what they are right now, or is it going to go down? And that's significant because guess what's happening come August 30th? President Biden has already signed the legislation. Federal student loan payments are going to begin resuming again. $200, $300 perhaps a monthly payment for millions of Americans resuming, including student borrowers across Arizona. A potentially big impact on the economy. Think about that. You haven't had this bill since early 2020, and now you do. That may impact your ability to eat out at a restaurant or socialize somewhere in the Valley. So all eyes on the Supreme Court. Another landmark decision expected in just about 45 minutes or so, Nick.
Yeah, Joe, and an estimate I just saw is as of 2020, 47% of people in Arizona who attended college have some kind of student debt that they're working to pay off. So this could have huge implications across our state. I want to talk about that landmark ruling that came from the Supreme Court on Thursday. The justices striking down affirmative action at colleges and universities. Several states, including Arizona, had already banned race-based affirmative action. But for local students applying out of state, what can colleges do now to try to ensure that they are going to have diverse students there accepted?
Right, less of an impact on Arizona simply because affirmative action has been restricted there, but certainly colleges and universities are likely picking up the telephone call, asking Arizona State, how do you still have a diverse student body? How do you strive for inclusivity if you can't ask the race question? And legal experts, counselors in states where it's already been restricted have told me that universities typically will target specific zip codes, perhaps for some diversity, perhaps specific disadvantaged high schools for some diversity, asking questions like, are you first in your family to pursue a degree? Those are ways to achieve some form of diversity without asking that race question, which has now been eliminated by the Supreme Court from coast to coast in public and private institutions. Nick, I think the 10,000-foot view here is that this is a Supreme Court that is not afraid to overturn decades of legal precedent. We saw that last year with reproductive rights. We saw that yesterday with affirmative action.
Yeah, so we'll have to, of course, wait and see what happens. But that is a good point you bring up. Also, I want to mention, too, we're expecting to also see a ruling on LGBTQ protections. There is a business in Colorado. The case has been brought up about the web design for same-sex couples. So we'll have to see, of course, how all of that plays out as well. Joe St. George, I know you and the rest of our team will be there with those decisions as soon as they drop in likely less than an hour. Joe, thanks for being with us this morning.